But habits do feel like a bit of a structure to me to sort of hang your health and well-being on, because health and well-being can feel a little bit piecemeal sometimes. And one of the things that I've heard you say so many times in the past is that habits are about consistency, not intensity.
Yeah.
And that, to me, really flies in the face of this concept of sort of willpower.
Mm-hmm.
And I think often people think that to be a healthy person or a successful person or a person who saves or whatever it might be, that you need to have lots of willpower. And I'd love us to explore that in terms of habits and the structure that they can provide as perhaps the antidote to willpower.
Ooh, this is the juiciest question ever. And I love that you brought those two concepts together, because like they should get married. This idea of that willpower is a fleeting resource and habits are the only proven method to achieving long-term success. I feel like as a society, we've been disillusioned with this idea, almost this paradigm that willpower is the answer. And if we've fallen off the wagon, we just need more willpower and we need more self-control, making us the problem. But think of willpower like a bank account, and life's demands debit out of that bank account. Things like making decisions, feeling hungry, not having a very good sleep, feeling any sort of negative emotion, being time poor or like stuck between a deadline and other responsibilities, self-regulation, all these things deplete your willpower. They're all little like debiting from your account. Now, you've only got so many credits in your account before it runs out. It's not an infinite resource. It's very finite. The way to replenish your self-control is things like sleep, rest, meditation, taking periodic breaks throughout the day, having some carbohydrates to eat, feeling positive emotions like gratitude, love, joy. We have to build these things into our every moment, really, to be able to use this unlimited resource of willpower that we're trying to tap into. But life's demands, there's more debits than credits that we can create in our life. That's just how it is, which is why when you start a goal, initially you feel like motivated and pumped and you've got all this energy. And then eventually we tend to fall off the wagon and then we go, I wish I had more willpower. And so we start something else, like a new diet or a new fitness plan, when really we're just repeating the cycle of starting, dropping off the wagon, starting, dropping off the wagon with just a new strategy. Habits, on the other hand, don't need willpower. I always say to people, no matter how tired or stressed or hungry you are, you will always put your seatbelt on in the car. You will always tie your shoelace the same way you've done. You'll always brush your teeth. Like, these things happen because they're habits. They're automatic. They don't need energy or cognitive resources. And that's why habits are so important, to have that sustainability and that consistency. That's like the juiciest part of, building a life by design rather than just living by default.
I love that. It strikes me that I think we use terms like habit and behavior interchangeably when they're not really the same thing, are they? A habit, we think of a habit as an action.
Yeah.
And it does involve an action, but I'm interested in your thoughts around this concept of, we talk a lot about mindfulness, right?
Yeah.
So eating mindfully, moving mindfully, practicing mindfulness or meditation or whatever it might be. So there's a really interesting play there between mindfulness and subconscious.
Yeah.
Right? Doing things deliberately, deliberate action or behavior versus something habitual. Can you just tease those apart for me?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you asked the best questions, Casey. I bloody love you. So we do use the words interchangeably. We even use things like ritual and routine interchangeably with habits, behaviors. They are all different things. Our habits are the automatic actions, thoughts, or belief systems that we do. They're subconscious, they're efficient, they're generally reactive, and they're triggered by something in the environment, whether that's our internal environment, like our feelings, or external environment, like the time of day or the place that you're in or the people that you're around. Behaviors, on the other hand, are intentional. They're conscious, they're deliberate, they're thought through, even if it's something you've just thought through just before. It could be, how do I get from A to B? Or what should I cook for dinner tonight? Intentions actually come from our prefrontal cortex. So our behaviors come from this logical part of our brain. Our habits come from a place in our brain back in sort of the midbrain, and it's called the basal ganglia. It's where emotions, memories, impulses come from. Entirely different. Those two don't connect. The only way to connect them is through slow breathing, and it's something that we're learning a bit more and more about. But the more mindful we are, the more intentional we are, and therefore the more we can live within our values rather than our reactions to triggers.
Got it. So, but how does something like, so let's talk through a couple of habits that I imagine, please correct me if I'm wrong, are the common ones that people talk to you about. And I'll give you some context in my own life. So one of the habits that I have recently broken, because we think that it's a lot quicker to break a habit than it often is, that's something you and I have talked about a lot, is drinking alcohol. So I haven't had a drink of alcohol for about 7 weeks, which is the longest I have gone in a long time. And like you, I went through something really difficult last year in nursing my dad and eventually losing my dad. And I realized that alcohol, I knew I was doing it at the time. It didn't creep up on me. Alcohol was absolutely a crutch for me during that time. Often he and I would have a Campari and soda together. So it would often feel like that was my reward for getting through a day. Now, was I drinking too much? I was drinking 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 or 5 days a week. So the NHMRC guidelines say no more than 10 standard drinks a week. I was probably meeting that, rarely exceeding it. So by their standards, it was fine. But for me, I knew that I couldn't keep walking through the door and pouring myself a drink, that was not the way that I wanted to live. It's not the way that what I wanted to model for my children in terms of consumption of alcohol. I have toyed with sobriety or abstinence in the past. I've done a year, I've done a month, I've done 3 months. I've done any period of time that you can mention, and I've been toying with drinking less and less for some time. The thing that I think I've done differently this time is, rather than saying I'm just not drinking till that party, or I'm just not drinking for a month or 30 days or dry July or until the weekend or whatever it might be, I haven't put an end date on it. It really feels like that's the only thing that is different for me now. That's the only thing that has changed. I'm just not drinking indefinitely until I feel like I want to change that. And as I said, it's been 7 weeks. So what's that? 49 days. And I have had to replace the habit. I can't come home and do nothing. I have to pour something else. It might be a cup of tea. It might be a non-alcoholic beverage. It might be a non-alcoholic beer. There's some really good non-alcoholic beers out there. How important is that? Is that somewhere where people are frequently tripped up, that they just try to stop doing the thing that they've been doing and they don't try to replace it with something else? Yeah.
Firstly, well done you. 49 days, you've certainly hit the hurdle of the first, the hard part. So well done. I just want to start off by giving you a little clap.
Thank you.
There are 2 ways to break our habits. For some people, it requires instant and permanent abstinence. For others, it's more about replacing the unwanted habit with something else. And it really is going to depend on the trigger and the actual behavior itself. I've worked with people, for example, who were nail biting, and they were able to just break that habit instantly and overnight by really digging down into their values, realizing that their behaviors and their values, there's a dissonance there. They don't align. And the embarrassment of nail biting was enough for them to get the urge and then be like, I'm not doing that, and just not do that. That's actually the harder way. And it doesn't work for things like, I'm just going to walk into the supermarket and not buy a chocolate bar. Saying to our brain, I'm not going to do that, it rarely works. So saying to yourself, I'm just not drinking, and then like hanging out in the house, I think it would be like torment. And you've probably tried it before and been like, just this once.
Yes, of course. I'll start again tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Or Monday or whatever, right? Yeah. So the idea is that every unwanted habit that we have, every habit or unwanted habit we have gives us some kind of reward. For you, alcohol is the reminder of your dad. It's a reward. It gives you dopamine. It relaxes you. There are so many rewards that come with alcohol, right? So when you completely eliminate that, then you're left with this void of, well, what happens now? Like now I'm feeling a bit empty. I'm needing some dopamine. I'm not comfortable in this lack of familiarity anymore, because our habits, our routines give us a sense of comfort. Even if they're not healthy for us, they still feel comfortable because routine feels comfortable for everybody. So replacing it like you have is a beautiful idea and something that I really recommend that people do. I'll actually say to people, we want to create barriers for the habits that you want to break and have facilitators for the habits you want to create. So with alcohol, I always recommend to move, say, like your wine glasses to a different cupboard and bring all your tea mugs into the cupboard where the wine glasses were. When you come home and you reflexively open that cupboard and to try to grab a wine glass, you'll be like, oh, that's right, we're drinking tea now. And that will help you through that environmental change. You also want to put the alcohol somewhere that's a bit hard to reach, whether it's a top shelf somewhere, you need a step ladder. And that brings in what we were talking about before, that mindfulness. It creates enough space between the urge and the behavior. And in that space, honestly, lies our freedom, because that's where we get to make a decision. Do I actually want to do this? You've got space for your mind to battle with you, to be like, hey, look, we probably don't actually want to do this. This is not a great idea. And creating that space is really important.